everybody. This is Nick again with another behind the counter or behind the scenes or whatever you want to call it. Today we are actually going to go through some of the VFX stuff that I do for this one might be a little bit shorter because my computer decided to crap out while I was working on some stuff for her when I was originally recording the other stuff. So this is being recorded today for Friday. And the other stuff was back in August when I was originally working on stuff for her for this one. So I edited all the stuff like I did before, and put all that stuff together.
So here, my cat jumped up on the table and actually started making the mic cut out. So that's why the audio is a little choppy. So here I made it darker, specifically because we were trying to do a night scene, and then try to make it look real. So we were giving her night vision. And we were calling this thing Night Eyes. So with this, we wanted to give her the night vision that we had given her before with the same color. Yeah, so we're going to hop into my software for the other part of the project. And breaking it down on how it goes from this to the final product. Yeah, so it's going to be fun. We'll get into it in a sec here. Just adding space because of the random part where the audio decided to cut out. So, yeah. Yeah, so when I get stuff back from her on this video part, then it gets sent to the final, and then the final is when I start actually cutting and doing stuff.
Hi, Rascal. I have a cat by me right now. I do the recording. I do the VFX work after she sent it back to me, because when I'm doing VFX, it's frame by frame versus this is clip by clip. So, and in the process that we're using right now, I'm going to see if I can pull it up here. Settings, timeline, sequence settings. Here we go. This is how everything's set up. It is set by 30 frames per second. So if we're watching a 2-minute video, 60 seconds times 30, so it would be 120 seconds times 30 frames. So I'd be doing that many. That's a lot. So this is what it looks like after, as you guys have already seen in the videos. And I just cut them up into the parts that Janine is in. And then I right-click this, replace with After Effects composition. I'm not going to do it because I already did it, but I'll show you that part in the next part here. And then I wait for it to render and then export it after I add in like the sound and all that stuff that we added in here. So I do the same process for Rithu's eyes. I do a similar process for some of the other stuff that we've done. Once we get Ghost Hunter John and Hurla back with ghost stuff, I'll be making a video for that for people who are curious. It's actually really easy, but when you haven't done stuff like this before, it can look very complicated. So I'm gonna hop off here so I can switch to the other video, and you guys will see that in just a second here.
And I'm back. So on here, I went back to the main screen on where I was going through with stuff. I believe on this one I originally only did one clip, and then you would kind of get the rest. I'm hoping to go further with that next time. So here I rendered it, sent it to After Effects, pulled it up on After Effects, and then you see the timeline here. We went up to a new null object. It's just a special file size so I can track stuff. And then I go in and add a new layer, doing the same thing twice, one for each eye, since we're doing this effects on the eyes. And here we're going to go and track the motion. So here, the binding box here is, the big one goes all the way out for tracking the eye, and the inner box is to track the inside of how far I want it. And I'm trying to focus on the pupil here. So here we then, I decided to add a few more layers. The adjustment layers, the ones that will actually have the effect of what I'm going to be putting on the eye. The null objects are used to attach the track points that I will make and add them to the, eventually from the null object from the main video to the null object. The null object will be attached to the effect. So on here, I'm opening up and I'm going to change the settings that I need them at. The opacity right now I have set at 0. Nope, 55. Christina and I were always trying to figure out how much it would be at each. So here is where I kind of change when the eyes open and close of how strong the opacity is of the effect that we're making. Primarily we're changing the opacity from how far her eyes open and closed. Going through this, I'm marking each point that is happening and allowing me to figure out when the tracking part that I'll be doing to track her eye will be good versus having it jump off into somewhere else where I have to then change from it doing automatically for me to do it manually. So just more of as a visual reference. And then here we'll select it, and I would select track motion, but since I started doing that before, I will click that button up there on the top. And then I can choose to start at the end or the beginning. I'm starting at the end here using these bounding boxes, and the crosshairs that's in the middle will allow me to find the point that I'm trying to track. Then over on the left-hand side, no, not left hand, sorry, right-hand side, you'll see the little buttons that I'm going to be clicking for tracking. And then right now it's automatically tracking it, and then occasionally I'll have to go through and fix it to make sure that it stays within that spot that I'm trying to do. And then I'll go back and let it do it automatically. Once we get to the lines up here that are where her eyes will start shutting, that's when I start going through and doing it myself manually, changing it, because it doesn't know where the stuff is, so it's going to jump somewhere else like it just did here. So then I'll go change it, analyze a frame backwards, and keep doing that. And that's pretty much what I do for the tracking part that does all the stuff. So sometimes I'll do it on the eye, sometimes I'll do it on the pupil like I've been trying to, but usually I'll do it on the eyelid when it starts pulling it down because she's closing her eye. done, then I go up and apply the track points that I got from the main video file up to the null object file, which has that red box there. We're going to turn that off in just a second here, and we're going to do another track motion to do the second eye. And it'll be basically doing the same thing that I just did before, just with another bounding box to then attach it, editing the target and attaching it to the other null. And here's more music for you to listen to while I do that. Done with the long, annoying tracing part, we're going to apply the effect to the other null object that is going to represent the right eye. We're going to turn that off so it doesn't show up in the file. Then we're going to add the effect onto the adjustment layer for the left eye. Then we're going to go into effects, generate, and choose CC light rays. And that's where we'll get that glowing night vision eye that we want. Before we do that, we're going to go into the other adjustment layer and parent the opacity from that file to the original one that we did all the markings on for the keyframes. And as you go through, you can see that the opacity changes with the other one. That's why it's red, because it's connected to the other one. Then we're going to go up to light rays and start adjusting this stuff the way that we want it. I've done a lot of experimentation with Rithu's red eyes that we've done when they're angry to get the type of effect that I've always wanted. I found that doing the radius 15 of how far it goes out and the softness 40, and then going in and choosing the color, and I copy it from previous effect that I did, which was more of a yellow color for her, and I think direct was green when I did it. So we don't want color from source, and then I just copy the same type of thing, the effect, onto the other version and do the same thing. I just remembered what color it was by typing in the numbers. And now we have it for both eyes. But now I got to get it to match to the other eye. So I have to go up to the null object, transform, see all those keyframes and the clock that's swatched on. I now have to parent the center of it to the other one, to the null. And it will automatically follow and grab those tracking points from the other video, from when I did it earlier. And then we just do the same thing again with the right eye, and it will copy that over. And then that's pretty much it. I will occasionally go through and push play so that way it renders it, and we can see it slowly adjust and play what is happening for that section that I did. And here we see earlier that when she closed her eyes, some of it was still bright. So we're going to go back to that and fix that opacity section um, once it's done rendering, like it's here. And now I can actually see it, play through, see if it was a mistake like it was, which it did, as you can see there. So we're going to go back into the original parent file, go into the transform, and see what opacity do we need to have when she has her eyes almost closed. And we see that it was too high still. So I have to go in, fix that, and then right now it's at 25. It probably should be like at 10. So it's not as strong. And here is pretty much where I go through and just refine all of those spots as we're going through it to make sure that it's just right. Tried to make it perfect as much as I can for Christina, as we all believe that our lovely leader is perfect. Now that it's done, we're going to go back to the Premiere file and then save it and render it out to see if it will to add those effects in there. And in here, it's just going to render, and the rendering is the annoying part where it takes forever. So we're probably just going to cut it off here because I didn't end up recording all the other ones that I did. But yeah, enjoy the credit roll as always, and stay awesome, guys. I'm hoping that when we do the next behind the counter thing, it will be a little bit more intensive, unlike this one. So we'll have more information for you guys. So yeah, bye lovelies, see you next time.